back to another episode of Diabetics Doing Things. We're telling the amazing stories of people with diabetes from all over the world, but today it's just us. So get ready.
It's been a while since we recorded an episode in person, but we are back and we've got...
It's cool to see Eritrea. You know, she's world traveling. So
oh my God. Yeah, travel blog, hashtag explore page.
So you went to your first big diabetes conference as part of your new diabetes gig.
Yes.
What's that like?
Friend. The ATTD conference was really, really fun. I got to go with the Diatribe Foundation. It's really interesting to be a patient in a room where people are talking about the medical advancements of your disease. And I hate to admit this on the podcast, but I was a conspiracy theorist. I thought diabetes was never going to be cured and that people were just keeping the cure from us. But then going to this conference, I got to meet a lot of people that have actually been like dedicating their lives to finding the cure for diabetes and seeing how some of the money is being used, even from places that I was like JDRF. They use their money for really good stuff. So, I mean, it was just interesting.
That was something, even people who are critical of JDRF have acknowledged more recently publicly, which I think is good, is when diabetes is cured, JDRF will be responsible for most of it. The work that they're doing is great.
Yeah.
We just don't ever hear it as patients because we're always on the fundraising side.
Or just always I think that also as patients, we have this, for people who have been diagnosed for a while, we don't even want to think about the cure anymore because it's like, it's not happening in our lifetime. So it's easier for us to just wrap our minds around it's not happening at all and maybe being even pessimistic about it instead of realizing that there's all this work that's happening and we might see it in our lifetime. Maybe we'll be really old, but.
Yeah, but I think too, cure, because some people are like, well, insulin exists. And it's like, well, it's not a cure because it's like you've got to manage that.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, right? Other places have that figured out, but not the U.S. So I think at the same time, we're getting into advanced hybrid closed loop options where now you're going to have more advanced algorithms where your mental burden is sort of relieved. People are getting a CGM on day one, like before they discharge from the hospital, which is awesome. So like the difference between when you and I were diagnosed or people even 20 years before us, 40 years before us, is so different now. And that's good. So it's not a cure necessarily, but all that information is improving lives of people with diabetes ongoing. So, and eventually, like we will.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think that there's this, it's not just about the cure, right? So it's about access to the right devices. And there's this huge conversation happening right now about time and range and the change between A1C to time and range. And we're going to talk about this later in the pod. But at ATTD, it was really cool to be working somewhere where like they help put together 50 of the key opinion leaders in the world so that they could talk about that specifically, so that they could try to get change and regulation so people with type 2 later on can have more access to CGMs. And I think that kind of stuff is like, maybe I'm a diabetic nerd now, but I think that kind of stuff's so cool. Like,
well, I think that was one of the things that I had basically the same experience at ADA conference going back to 2018. And I think you get to see as a patient, like, oh, all these people who are really informed about what diabetes are like, and we sort of don't think that that's true from the outside looking in. But then also, key opinion leaders, like you were saying, like leaders from all these different companies and labs and all that, all come together to talk to each other.
Yeah. Or even like doctors who their entire career for 50 years has been that, like endocrinology.
Yeah.
But yeah. You said something really interesting though that I think is a good segue when we were talking about like closed loop and how that really helps with the mental burden of diabetes. And I feel like that's a conversation that we've been having a lot this month with it being Mental Health Awareness Month and all your little videos that you've been making.
I'm watching the videos. I'm deep in the content mines. I'm I'm going in and I think for a while, I was just in pandemic hangover, and I think I still am to an extent, and like even my language, I try to be really conscious of, like we are still in the pandemic era.
Right.
It's just part of our lives ongoing. And it was having a really hard time. I was overthinking and overproducing, and just like really feeling burdened by making stuff. And I just sort of had a moment where I was on a content trip with my team at Recreation, and I made a little dumb reel, and it did really well, and I was like, oh, like
the gas station one.
Yeah.
The one where you're literally pumping gas. Like you're just standing there being tall.
So I kind of have my little reels where it's like a short video, long text. Like that's kind of my like thing, and it's been fun to just get back in the rhythm. And Erica, my wife, has been helping me a lot with it, and so yeah, we're experimenting with making videos, and as you guys know, on social media, you see a lot more reels now, a lot more videos on Instagram, on TikTok. Because that's just where media has shifted. So all the views are coming from Reels, so we're going to have to make Reels, and that's been hard for creators who, like me, I used to just post cool pictures. That was the deal. And now having to evolve to more video, just a different skill set, and a different frame of reference, different frame of mind. But now it's like, oh, well, I can just make a quick little thing about diabetes and eating and make it relatable, and that's been a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
shout out to everybody who's engaging.
I mean, they're good. The mental health ones have been really helpful. I think especially it must be nice for men to see themselves being represented in kitschy little memes. Those are cute.
So, like we were talking about this in our diabetic meeting, women are doing the heavy lifting. I've been talking about that since I wrote the article for Beyond Type 1. Like the first thing I ever did for them was talk about how, what it means to be a man with diabetes. That was kind of like intro to everything. I forgot about that until just now. But the thing I say in that is that women do a great job of being vulnerable and opening them up to their journey. And guys just aren't kind of wired that way sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah, it's important to hear, like, you see the ice tub videos, you see the basketball videos, and like the cool cars and the stuff and the entrepreneur stuff, but also like there's mental health stuff, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies, and it's not all easy.
Positivity and being the best and not being mid. It's sometimes being mid.
You gotta grind. So sometimes that's just I don't know. It's been fun to get into, and you're right. It's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Diabetes and mental health are so closely intertwined. We've got some people coming up on the podcast to do that. I made a YouTube video about it. The JDRF asked me to come speak about it at a JDRF internal meeting, and it really made me think, like, oh man, we are all depressed and we're all anxious because when you live with diabetes, it's very hard to be in the present because you're always thinking about, well, what did I eat? What did I dose? What will I eat? What will I dose? Like, what do I have to do later? And it's just the constant battle and like flipping in those windshield wipers back and forth. So I don't know. It was an important thing for me to do, and I'm really glad that we're able to talk about it.
Well, as the content machine keeps pushing out content, you mentioned the ice tub. I want to talk about this because this ice tub is driving me crazy. So you have all these videos. You've got your family members in this tub. Talk about the ice tub, Rob.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue to do more ice tub content. I have my sister and my mom. They even got Erica to get in on it.
Oh my God.
So like she got in, and takes a little peer pressure. So shout out my mom, my sister. My mom like literally just plopped right in the first day, and like was in absolute pain, just like face, and then she started breathing, and then she like settled herself in. I was like, oh, that's not a metaphor for my mom in like 30 seconds.
She like found her center. Is that the video you posted? Yeah.
So the video's out there, like she just fought through it and then settled in and did her thing. And I think I get a lot of my good qualities from my mom.
Oh wow.
So yeah, ice tub. Why did I get an ice tub? Over the past 5 years or so, I discovered Wim Hof about 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah, that's the guy who's like take cold showers.
That's
that guy.
That's like level 1 of the Wim Hof system.
Okay.
So Wim Hof is this guy, and he's Dutch, and he's a PhD researcher, amazing dude.
Okay.
His wife committed suicide or died by suicide in maybe 20 years ago.
God, this story got really dark really fast.
Sorry, and he was working with her, and like they loved each other, and she was his great love, and he found himself. They were unable to cure her bipolar disorder. She was unable to find balance with her in her mind, and he felt compelled to try to find and dedicate his life to finding something that could have helped her.
Yeah.
Could help other people. So along the way, he discovers cold immersion therapy. And since that day, he's like a Guinness Book of World Records. He has like 15 Guinness Book of World Records for like staying in ice 24 hours. He worked with David Blaine on this thing.
Okay.
He climbed Everest with no shirt on.
No shirt?
He ran a marathon through the Gobi Desert with no shoes and no shirt. Like, he's an absolute man. You look at it.
He wants to join his wife. Like, what is he doing?
He's crazy. And his kids are like on this thing, and they've created this platform, this system. And he's been on Joe Rogan, he's been on Tim Ferriss, and all these pods and all these things. But his belief is that cold is the responses that you get from cold immersion can heal your body, heal your brain, heal your mind. And for me, that resonated with me because when I was young, and it would be winter, we had a pool at my house growing up, and my dad would like maybe go put my legs in the cold water for sports, to like recover. So like cold tubs and ice therapy is something in athletics that's very common.
Yeah.
And whether it's like works or not, you don't really know, but it makes you feel good. So, when I twist the ankle over the years, I'd have an ice bucket at the house. Or if I was just, my feet hurt, I'd put the ice bucket. My senior year of college, my buddies Ben, Brent, and Luke, and I, after practice, we got an ice tub that year for our training room, and I got in it with them after practice every day. And I think if I hadn't have done that, I would not have made it through. Like, my body was just breaking down at that level.
Yeah.
So over the years, I was like, okay, well, how can I get this in my house? I made a video a few years ago, real ones will remember, at my apartment pool with my buddy Casey. We in the winter time, we went out to the pool and jumped in, while it was freezing cold. So that was my fix back then. But during the summer, the water's hot. And in Texas, even when you're gonna do cold shower, the pipes are so warm that the water on cold really isn't even that cold. So I talked to Erica over the years, and I've researched all these things. And I looked up the DIY option. I looked up the middle option.
Where do they make tubs big enough for Rob Howe?
Size, and for me too, I'm pretty lazy, so I'm not gonna clean it every day. I don't want to go to 7-Eleven and buy 10 bags of ice just to sit in it for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a good return on investment or time.
It's just a lot to do.
A lot to do. It's messy. Mold grows in it. All this stuff.
Ew.
So I was like, okay, I gotta find the solution. And I found radiotherapy. And
shout out, sponsor the pod, please.
Whoa, this is so expensive. I don't know if I can afford this. Blah blah blah. And at Christmas time last year, my business partner gave me a project because we have given each other gifts so many times over the years that now it's just get yourself something.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I'm gonna buy myself something that I normally wouldn't buy for myself. So I want you to do the same thing for you. And so I did. I was like, cool, I'm gonna buy this ice for myself. It was, a midlife crisis level purchase,
It's better than a sports car. It's fine.
Better than a Porsche. And so now I have it back in the back of the crib, and I get in it every day. And so I'm going to be making content about it because it's really good for your brain. And Andrew Huberman does a bunch of content about cold immersion and how it triggers your norepinephrine and dopamine response, which helps your brain fill with the good reward chemicals.
Gotcha.
It's helping with my depression.
So I have a question. Yeah. What does it do for your diabetes, if anything? Do your blood sugars fluctuate while you're in there?
So I really am not in there very long.
Okay.
I only stay in there probably most times under 5 minutes, sometimes 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm not in there a lot. They say over the course of a week you should get in there for 11 minutes.
Okay. Okay, 7 days. Yeah. Okay, got it.
So a couple minutes every day.
Yeah.
You get the benefits. That's the minimum viable.
Yeah.
So that's about what I'm doing right now.
Start the day or end the day in the tub?
It's hard to do in the morning, I'll be honest. But on a day where I know I'm going to have a really busy, demanding day, I will do it in the morning. Because that's
Damn.
the hardest thing I've done for the day is out of work. Otherwise, I'll do it after I play basketball.
Yeah.
Recover. Sometimes I'll do it at night, but it kind of wakes me up, so I don't really do it right before bed. But yeah, it's been amazing. I have to say, diabetes-wise, it has not given me any sort of measurable variance. Everything's been about regular, but I probably lost 5 to 10 pounds.
Oh wow! I need one. Yeah. I need a tub.
That's the marketable thing. If you just said it had helps with weight loss, but yeah, it does thermogenesis, jumpstarts your body and makes your body heat itself and regulate its temperature, which helps you burn.
So I could just get in the cold shower and do something similar. I'm a much smaller person than you. You're humongous.
Yeah. If you come by the crib.
No, once he said 10 pounds, I was like, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. And so the other thing is helping me with my athletic recovery and performance has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been working out more. I've been working about the same, and I'm at a very high level of conditioning right now. Playing high level basketball 3 times a week.
What about your sleep? Has it helped your sleep at all?
My sleep is about the same, but I fixed all that during the pandemic.
Okay. With my whoop.
The whoop helped me with my sleep, and if that's all it ever did for me, that would be enough.
Okay, last one. You're always talking about your hips. Has it helped with that?
So my hips, yeah, I do talk about my hips don't lie.
I mean, not Shakira. Leave her alone.
I really did because I'm not a very mobile human naturally, and I play basketball, which does not. It doesn't promote mobility, really hard on your joints. Especially your ankles, knees, and hips, which are your joints.
Yeah.
I did not have any internal rotation in my hip. I just and even though I was working out and stuff, I was not knowingly compensating in the wrong ways, and so I was debilitating my body's ability to move.
Okay.
in the cold tub was really the last infinity stone I needed. So over the years, I've like been on the floor every day, rotating my hips in and out. And I've gotten so good at it. Now I have like, if I'm in pain, I have my little routine, and I can just knock it out, and I'm good. And the ice tub has just been the icing on the cake.
Okay.
And yeah, I can't say nothing's about it. It's healing my body. It's healing my brain. It's making me in shape and making me lose weight. Like, what more do you want?
All this to say, please renew Tubs. Sponsor this podcast. Thank you. Well, I mean, that's great. It sounds like a lot of things have happened since we last recorded. Other than the cold tub, we dropped the zine. It was this huge project. So many amazing people came together to make it happen. And I feel like it was a very big labor of love, specifically from you. So I guess if you want to just share a little bit more about how it was to put it together, or
Yeah.
I see like so many emotions going behind your eyes. Like,
It was a labor of love. I think that's the best way to talk about it. We were thinking about it yesterday. I was talking to Erica about like making all the content. Right? So since we put out the zine, I made like 18 reels a month or whatever, which is not a ton when you think about it like that, but it was a lot more than I had been making. And I think that was honestly just like a rebound. You know, when you're dating somebody and you're younger, you go on a rebound.
or like you're in your manic energy phase right now. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an eclipse. It's fine.
Exactly. Like Scorpio, like Mercury retrograde.
All this crazy shit's happening.
But the zine was so much more work than I anticipated, and also it was so much more rewarding than I would have given it credit to. Like, we've done over 200 podcasts. We've had amazing people on since day one. I've met amazing people through this platform and podcast. But being able to work with creators was really cool, and I think that's kind of really focused me a little bit more on like what our audience is and like what our place is in diabetes media. Is we're a place for diabetes creators. So if you're a writer, if you're a photographer, if you're a podcaster or whatever, like, we can work with you to help get you paid or help create some art together or like make a project that's really cool. And diabetes creators, even the biggest ones, are very small
Yeah.
compared to the creator world.
Yep.
So we are very niche, but it's important to tell those stories. And for me, it's important to try to support beginner or smaller creators or people who have a story to tell. So we're going to continue to do that. Whether we continue to do a full 5-pod episode zine with
Layout.
layouts, and shout out Madison, who's our designer in residence, who's an amazing guy. We're going to continue to tell stories that way, and it's also kind of gotten some buzz for in the community, with whatever sponsors and things like that, to say, hey, we are doing something cool here, something different, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Shout out to everybody who downloaded it. Free BG till it's backwards.
Period.
It's still the code, and I think if you want to pay to support what we're doing, we're gonna give money back to diabetic creators, and that's just gonna be what we do. And if you want something for free, you'll also be able to get it. We're not gonna gatekeep our content.
Not gatekeep our diabetes content from people with diabetes.
And so, even more recently, I've turned down some things that other creators are doing because they are paid, and most of the stuff that I do for you guys is free. I will make the brands pay.
Yeah.
They can, and they should. So
As they should.
yeah, and with that, it was more of a conversation with those things of okay, well, I'm not going to do this for you now, but if you're going to do something for free down the road, let me know and I'll do it then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all that to say, the zine was awesome, is awesome. We'll do more. Probably going to do more stories, one-offs rather than a full issue. But it was a great learning experience, and I'm very proud of the work that we did, frankly.
Yeah, no, I think the inspiration of it being for people with diabetes by people for diabetes it's something beautiful, man. It's nice to be a part of that. It's good.
It's cool. And
Yeah.
and also not every creator is the same.
Yeah.
Finding ways to give people some shine, let us use.
Or share their specific perspective. Some people are more outspoken. I think it's hard to say someone's more outspoken than me, but they've got more to say. No, but they've got an opinion, a perspective, something to talk about. And I think, you open we tell the amazing stories of people with diabetes. That's the job. And I think we did that with the zine, and we're going to keep doing that. So.
And I think too, the juxtaposition between people like Charlotte, who are these world-class performers, athletes, that anybody would be interested in hearing about. And then people like Zoe, who are working to help marginalized people and help people get diabetes supplies. maybe that story wouldn't get told in traditional media. Although shout out to Mutual Aid Diabetes.
Absolutely. They're killing it. And shout out NPR. They're on NPR. Wild.
Human Rights Watch, they have done an awesome job. So,
Yeah, no, amazing.
but anyway, like all those things, those stories deserve to be told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as the all-time diabetes community homie, is a trailblazer.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, giving them a chance to tell their stories in a different way. And also for people like Christine, like Larkin, like you, who
Yeah.
who write and contribute to the zine.
Even Madison, who's like a legitimate graphic designer. I just think it's cool that we're employing people who have diabetes to do the things that they already know how to do. Like, let's just, create art.
Yeah, exactly. What if diabetes was an advantage?
Yeah.
It's not. It sucks.
It sucks.
If we can give people, an advantage, like it's, I don't know. I'm all for it. It's for us, by us kind of thing. And there's plenty of stories out there and plenty of creators that tell them. So.
Plenty of stories. That's a great segue into the next part of today's episode. So we have been doing this thing on Mondays called the mailbag, where we've been asking people in the community their experiences, just questions that I think, I don't know, that I sit down sometimes. I'm just like, what do people have to say? And so I picked out some of the best ones from the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to ask you the same mailbag questions. But also I'm calling you out because you don't answer my mailbag questions, and you should. But yeah, no, it's okay. So the first one that I liked was, how often do you go to the endocrinologist? So you personally, Rob, how often do you go?
I think traditionally they tell you every 3 months, and maybe that's at the beginning, and I think it shifts to 6 months, or I see some people go once a year to get their prescriptions renewed because I think that's how long they last. I go whenever my doctor tells me, which is generally every 6 months.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe I do 3 or 4, or maybe 2 or 3 a year, between.
Okay. So the average listener answer was 6 months, which made me really reconsider my own diabetes treatment, especially since you just said yours is 2 to 3 a year, because I go every 3 months religiously. But I don't know if it's because I was diagnosed when I was a kid, so I'm just used to that.
Well, I remember saying, I feel very similar.
Yeah.
When he gave me the option, he's like, I can see you in 6 months. I was like,
Did I do something wrong? Are you mad at me?
So I listen to the doc, and he tells me what I do.
There was someone that did say, and I'm not going to say their name because they said that they went 7 months because they have better diabetes control. And I don't think that's accurate. That's why I also don't want to name drop them. But just go as often as you think you need to go.
Yeah, and for me too, I don't know, I've kind of gone through the last 4 or 5 years a radical shift in my care team.
Mm-hmm.
Just strictly, I had this great PCP, primary care physician, who was a family friend.
Yeah.
She gave me my prescriptions, and I could get in her office easy, it was no problem. And she basically was like, hey, my clinic is changing, and we need to get you a real endocrinologist. And that forced me to go find an endocrinologist, get a dentist, get a PCP.
How recently was it?
It was 2018, it's not that long.
Oh my God.
So, because my diabetes control was great, but I just needed something, I needed to be consistent. And so I think
That doctor did you a favor. She put a kick in your ass. She was like, get the...
she honestly is my...
A dentist. When you said a dentist, I was like...
She's mother adjacent. I mean, but we talking about dudes, I'm talking about mental health. Dudes
Oh.
go to the dentist.
This is terrible. Y'all got walking around with yuck mouth. Actually, I cannot get into this. We have to do a full separate podcast. I could never deal with that. Men, with yuck mouth. Ew, y'all just out here talking to people smelling nasty.
Yeah. Not me anymore, because I go to the dentist now every year.
Do better. Y'all see Gucci Mane? Do better.
That's the thing, periodontal disease with diabetes is we talked about that on the pod, about complications.
Yeah.
About Dr. Josh Miller was
Mm-hmm.
about microvascular disease.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of blood vessels in your gums, and you will have nasty ass teeth.
And girls will not want to talk to you. And you're nasty. Just don't even say hi to me. Keep that. Anyway, let's move on to the next question.
What's the worst mouth insult you've ever heard somebody give to somebody else? Because I got one.
Probably that your teeth look like railroad tracks or something like that. Or
Somebody said old Swiss Army mouth.
or somebody was like, why are your teeth so far apart or something? I don't know. Being from Dallas is a terrible experience. They're oh, they were like, your teeth look like boys and girls at a dance, far apart. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. We be roasting. Okay.
Take care of your people. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one was, what do you think impacts your diabetes more, time in range or A1C?
Oh, I think probably time in range. Although I will say, like, when I look at a time in range report and then I get a good A1C, I'm like, like 75% time in range is like a great A1C. So like you could.
Is it?
Could be, right? So.
What's your best time in range, Rob, that you've ever seen, like on yours, since you're Mr. Valedictorian Perfection human being?
Well.
I'm gonna put you on blast.
Shout out Smart Guard Auto Mode, so I can see like what percentage of the time I'm in Smart Guard Auto Mode on the Unit 770G system. I'm using all the correct names because I know now I can only speak in on-label.
Mr. Medtronic.
So, the highest percentage of time in auto mode over a 30-day period I've ever had is 96%.
Jesus.
Grinding on those sensor changes. Y'all know people know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
And I had 90% time in range during that period.
Dude, that's intense.
That was like my best A1C I ever did. I was like 5.8.
Wow.
Just absolutely valedictorian all over the place. Now, on average, I would say my time in range is probably more closer to 80%, and my time in auto mode is also about 80% because if a sensor expires late at night, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to change it. So that's me being honest. But yeah, I don't know. It's really cool to see time in range when we talk about access. If you don't have a CGM or a glucose monitor that you can.
How do you know the information?
You have a time in range.
Right.
Well, you could, I guess, but. I don't know. The biggest lie ever told was everybody who had to fill out their glucose charts over that 3 months because y'all.
Dude, I used to, bruh. When you were a kid with diabetes, I was scamming. I was Anna Delvey in that bitch.
I didn't want to make a Tinder swindler like next. I think I'm gonna make a reel of me like fake writing in diabetes.
Dude, I used to pretend that I had like done it on like Excel sheets and then like emailed it to my doctor, but then they wouldn't open. Did that trick like 2003. As long as I'm not sure why it won't open. It's the technology. But so 82% of our listeners said that it was time in range and 18% said A1C. It made me really think about the same thing that you said about maybe access. Like maybe if you're looking at A1C more than time in range because that's the information that you have. But it just brings up the question that more people, or the sentence that more people should have access to CGMs.
I'd be really interested to ask that question to that group of experts like you talked about at that conference. I think most of our followers and listeners are hyper-informed and have hyper access or like big into the new technologies. It'd be interesting to see somebody who's maybe not as into that or newer, to teach them about the difference. But there is a lot of advocacy going on right now about, I think, that group of people.
Yeah.
Part of that is like getting more information and more studies about the impact of time and range to make it the standard of diabetes measurement.
As opposed to A1C, just because A1C is so scammable, right? Because like if you are a person like me, a few years ago I was going through a lot of really bad nighttime lows, and then I have random during the day highs for hours, but my A1C was like 5.9.
Well, it's an average, right?
Yeah.
I think, Dr. Miller did a great job of explaining it on our Zine podcast, so shameless plug, go listen to it, and also you can see all my numbers. But the glucose gets around the cell and causes it, so the A1C tracks if that's happening. So it is still a relevant measure, and I think also, when you think about things like euglycemic DKA, I think that's right.
Yeah, the thing that he was talking about that I didn't even know was a thing.
Sugar is like in range, but you have ketones.
Yeah.
You'd be able to measure it that way via A1C. So I don't know. I think it's.
Seems like an antiquated way to measure if we have another way to measure.
I agree, but I think that the nice thing about the momentum of if time in range is elevated to the standard of diabetes care, then CGM, that will power more CGM access. So I think
Period.
The pulleys, levers in those systems, that I think is the main reason why that time in range should be measured so that more people can get on CGMs quicker and ramp.
That's what's so exciting for me about working there. But anyway, yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so the last one was, what is a situation that makes you watch your diabetes closer? I'm just going to answer for you and say basketball.
No, actually, I don't give a shit. Cause
He said I don't give a shit.
the only reason I say that is because my blood sugar, when I was playing the best basketball of my life, who knows what my blood sugar was? It was like I had no CGM. My pump
That's
was
true.
off. It didn't matter if my blood sugar was 400 or if it was 65. I had to keep playing. And
Fuck it, we ball.
So now my pump will go off during in the game, and I'll have to clear a notification which is annoying. But it goes a little bit high and then it comes down. That's basically what it does with basketball. So for me, I think it's travel.
Okay.
Which I think some people answer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I'm on a plane, you guys who fly a lot know, and I made this reel about it, like when we're driving. Like if you have to be sitting or driving or in a plane and like stressed out, dehydrated, and you give yourself insulin for a high, like you're just gonna be sitting high for a while. Like,
Yeah.
And then you want to rage bolus, but then you'll crash the minute you start walking around. So
Maybe it's different for different people. I was actually going to ask you about that because when you were like, oh, I'm high sitting in the car, I go low sitting in the car for a long time. So I was just like, what is this man talking about? Like, I didn't know that was, but then people responded to your story, didn't they? Or said it happened to them also. So maybe different strokes, different folks. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like not everybody responds to exercise the same way.
There you go.
I don't know, exercise was a popular one too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the main times?
So
You're going to travel and you're going to exercise?
Carlos Diaz Fitness said traveling, which I thought was super relatable, especially recently for me. Mary Kassem, shout out Mary, said, when I've been prescribed a new medication by a doctor, I think that's a good one too. Because like steroids can make your blood sugar high. Is there anything that makes your blood sugar low?
Yes. So I don't know. I don't want to like. I don't
For you.
I don't want to misspeak or like say, but yes, there are medications that cause you. You can be more susceptible to hypoglycemia.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly which one, but like for example, I was on a statin for a while.
Okay.
It's terrible. Like I would wake up disoriented.
Oh.
And like I had some load. Like so, that symptom alongside a hypoglycemia incident can be
Scary. Yeah.
Like 2 incidents where were really, really bad. I didn't have a seizure or anything, but I was like blacked out. Like
That's scary.
So we stopped that, and I don't have it anymore. So I think that's a great time to keep a closer eye on it.
And then Casey, Bow Ties and Bowlers, shout out Casey, friend of the pod. He is an attorney, and so he said he watches his blood sugars closer when he's in court, which I thought was interesting because it's like, I guess you are in a setting where you have to be like very professional. Also
Focused, like not, you don't want to have, I think that's the thing, like when I want to eliminate distractions, I want to know my blood sugar's in range so I don't have to think about it.
Absolutely. And also like you are doing other things. So it's like that thing you were talking about earlier where there's all these things in the back of your mind. So like imagine you're like, objection, Your Honor, but at the same time, like I'm 71 right now and dropping. Like,
I can't imagine, like, making a great point and then you're like,
objection from my pump.
I start to get like mad, like something you see bad news and it's like,
this is ridiculous.
yeah, just I don't know. Those are those fun things. I think we're talking about mental health awareness all the time. We've got to talk about how much people with diabetes numbers are in their heads. And
Yeah.
all this different stuff. It's just very difficult. You mentioned travel though.
Yeah, I did.
Are we done with this mailbag or response?
Those were all the questions from the answers from the mailbag. I wanted to say thank you to all the listeners because you guys have been interacting a lot. I appreciate it. Makes my job easier. Makes my job more fun. Yeah, it's nice.
We're coming up with ways. That's like literally an item on our list is like come up with ways to give our like most loyal fans more stuff. So
Yeah.
We're digging into that. You guys, we read your messages. We're tapped in, and so thank you guys for tapping in. You had a tough time traveling with some devices, which is not something that always happens, even though you are like a globetrotter.
Yeah, but now it's been twice. So last year when I went to Egypt, when I was coming back, like when I was flying from Egypt to Frankfurt to Germany, I had an incident. So in international airports, they let you go through like one part of customs and then you go through like another. What is it like?
Well, let's talk through. So you land.
You land.
You don't get to go into the terminal. You have
Right.
to go through customs.
Uh huh.
Make your declaration. Scan your bag.
No, they always scan your bag if it's a country like Egypt or Turkey. They scan all your stuff and then they like ask you like, what's this, which is fine. But also like when you're leaving, you have to go through like another. It's called, they check your metals, the metal detector. Yeah, so they do it twice, like when you right before you board the plane and right when you get off. Both times I had this huge issue with my pump and it was really weird because I felt like if I couldn't defend myself, like if I spoke no Arabic, I could have been in a situation where they like fully removed my pump from my body. Because this was a gentleman who was like, what is this? What are you doing with it? And he's like very aggressive until I like told him like, I speak Arabic. Like you don't have to yell at me. Like, are you a dog? I literally asked him, are you a dog? And he like, I lifted my shirt up. I remember that I lifted up my shirt and he was like horrified to see my skin. But at the same time, like I'm trying to make my flight, buddy. And you are in my way, sir. So like, what are we doing? So I just feel like if I didn't speak any Arabic and I only spoke English, maybe you would have taken my pump away from me. Maybe I would have missed my flight. Maybe something else would have happened. I kind of just brushed it off last year. I was like, whatever, it's a one-off. It'll never happen again. And then this time when I flew into Turkey, I got to Istanbul. And when I was going through the metal detector again, the guy gave me the hardest time, but they don't speak Arabic in Turkey. And they get really offended when you assume that they speak Arabic because I think they believe they're from like the Kurdish state, which I don't know anything. I don't know enough. Please don't be mad at me, Turkish people. I love you. Great place. Anyway, Turkey's great, but the point, it's fine. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. The point is, they were really upset with me and I didn't really know how to communicate. Like, this is my medical device and like, here's a letter from my endocrinologist that's in English. And like, what do I do right now? Also, the police there wears like plain clothes. So they were like talking to me and I am a Karen sometimes. So like, they were like telling, they were like, hey. And I was like, don't say hey to me. I'm not a dog. Like, Inti Kalab, are you a dog? So I just had a tough time. And I feel like there has to be a better way for us to talk to people about these devices that we're wearing and how to communicate appropriately in airports with foreign nationals where we're not in danger of something bad.
Let's litigate it a little bit because I might zag on it too.
Yeah.
Because like they see so many people going through, and every day like there's gotta be people with diabetes, some people with Omnipods, Dexcoms,
yeah,
stuff like
Libres. Like I'm thinking like different
also,
shape
like,
stuff.
Hip replacements and pacemakers and IC stuff and colostomy bags.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff like people obviously who are disabled like have to still travel. And then you throw a language barrier on top of it, or like somebody having a bad day or somebody calling you a dog in a language that you don't recognize. You know, you could, and also I think there's different things that like I had not an incident or an issue, but in China, I went to China or like I was making a connection in China, and I was really worried because I don't have any way to communicate. Like,
yeah.
Spanish and French, like romance languages, like it's not so bad.
Yeah, your Lothario languages weren't gonna help you out.
But in Chinese, like it doesn't translate, and also their police or their TSA people have AK-47s and like big old.
And you're American, so they hate you.
And they're laced up. But for the most part, and you've been on an airplane 18 hours, like you're stressed out, you're trying to make a connection, and what happens if this goes wrong? So I don't know. Do you put like I think medical ID bracelets? They're swagless. I'm not a big fan.
I mean, I wear the one on the watch, which I think is good. But like,
you gotta take your watch off.
But also like, how much more of my body do you need to see so that you can identify me as a disabled person? Like, is it because if I was in a wheelchair, would this be an issue?
I think so. Like I see people in wheelchairs going through major difficulties.
That's true. Yeah.
I would not want to have to. I saw this thing on Twitter. This lady in a wheelchair got left at a gate.
Shut up.
They just left her there, like, because the person like couldn't take her to the next thing, or the flight got canceled or something. They just left her there, and it's like, well, what's she supposed to do? So yeah, I mean,
she should own the airport now.
You know, we get to be able-bodied in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's frustrating. I don't know. Do you wear a sign? Wear a t-shirt, wear some swag.
I don't know, but I guess I posed the question to other people who travel a lot. It's like, what do you do? I didn't want to ask it on the mailbag because it felt very niche. But if you do listen to this and you travel a lot, like, what is some way to combat those types of incidents? Because it just really seems fruitless, and I don't want to be like in an interrogation room without my insulin pump because that sounds really scary. Like, no insulin pump, no phone, no idea what your blood sugar is. It just, I don't know. Maybe it gives me PTSD from the gentleman who went to jail and like didn't have what he. So it's scary to think about. Yeah. I think I just worry about like what could happen. I start to catastrophize when people are like, we're going to take off your pump.
Yeah. I don't know. Those are good questions. Right?
Yeah.
Real fears and things. And like, I think we talk a lot about, you know, the toxic positivity. You can do anything you want. It's like you can, but also like just know you may run into this issue if you're traveling abroad.
Yeah.
Where somebody doesn't know what your insulin pump is and they can keep you from getting into the country.
Just be prepared in other countries is what I was really mostly thinking, like especially as an American.
Note is helpful.
Yeah.
I think, the likelihood is you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
They will not like detain you or anything like that, and they probably will let you go through, but make sure you're.
I mean, that's what happened in Turkey. The guy was just like, can I see where it's connected? I was like, would you like me to take off my pants? And he was like, no, that I don't want that. And I was like, okay, bye.
Generally,
It was just.
And people get like real, because yeah, I mean, it's if it's their first time and they're like, oh, okay, well, never
Never mind.
It's a big deal. It's not. Like, I'll move on.
Also, I think they just like their TSA agents, or so they're like, this will be a quick 1 minute question, but now their shift is 2 hours longer because they decided to ask you about your insulin pump. Yeah.
They're not trying to create more.
No, absolutely not. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Travel is, travel season. People are going places.
Flights are crazy.
I hope you go. Yeah, flights are
Plan ahead. Flights are getting canceled. Bring low snacks. Go get you some low snacks. Be prepped because.
Yeah, what's been your biggest travel?
Oh man, I've had so many. Where should I start? Where the fuck should I really even start? No. I got delayed when I was flying to Istanbul and I ended up getting stuck there overnight, like 7 hours in the DFW airport, and it really, really sucked. And then remember, do I have to tell this story on the podcast? The lady who tried to beat up an old lady on the flight, and I was like, no. Yeah. So no, it's just. Basically, there's some crazy people out in these airports. Be safe. Carry your low snacks. Don't talk to nobody. Wear your mask. I don't know. Mind your business. Wear your AirPods.
I gotta fly on Thursday for the first time.
For the first time?
First time since the mask mandate.
I wore my mask anyway. I'm not raw dogging air ever again.
I'm thankful for calling it because that's how I feel. And my sister and I were talking about it. If you fall asleep, your mouth's open, and I'll put my hand on my face, I'm wearing a mask just so that my germs are not everywhere.
Listen, I feel like I've been Nicki Minaj says she carried wipes in case a bum tried to touch her. Ew. I've been carrying wipes since then. Okay? I'm Walmart wearing a mask. Anywhere that there's a lot of people wearing a mask. Yeah. I hate.
I think it's a great point. It's for me, humans are gross when we're all in a closed area. It's really nice, especially if you got allergies or you're gonna wipe your nose. What are you gonna do? Wipe it on your pants? It's gonna end up on the seat. It's gonna end up with my pants.
COVID is rampant. COVID is still rampant. My boss got it this week. A lot of people are still getting it. It is just a part of our times now. People get it like the flu and we move on, and that's great. But I don't want it. Keep that shit to yourself. I'm gonna wear my mask.
Okay, last thing. Before we close.
Oh yeah, my question. Okay, so
you have a question.
I have a lasting question. So a few weeks ago, you posted this thing, and I think the song was 1,000 Miles. And so I want to know what your white man song of choice is.
So no, give me context. As you asked me, you sent me the DM because I posted the.
No, I put in your comments.
It was a banger reel. It's called.
Whatever. It's still that white chick song.
It was the Vanessa Carlton 1,000 Miles, and you asked. And I said, ask me on the pod. So this is that time.
Okay.
I don't think I know that song, but I never really rode for that song in a way that wasn't just
You ride for white people songs?
I mean, occasionally, you know what I'm saying? Everybody rides for halfway there, Bon Jovi. Wow! Come on, you look at a crowd.
I can't wait to turn that into a GIF. Anyway.
The Wangle song that I ride for, unapologetically, my wife says it's going to be creepy. It's not going to be creepy. It would be Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin, which is not a good song.
Are you okay? Can we get the video editors to
my pregame playlist when I was in college was the most aggressive shit, and it started off with Eminem and Nate Dogg, and then I was all rap except for one song, Breaking Benjamin.
Are you a sad little white boy?
Because the screaming in it is so weird and whack.
Now I have to listen to it. I haven't listened to it in God knows how long. It's giving me that Trapped song, that Headstrong song. Is that your shit too?
Yeah, 14-year-old me was big into that song.
Oh, someone hurt you. No, you're just an emo little Scorpio.
Yeah, when you're going through it as a 13-year-old, you're Diary of Jane is your anthem. That's what it
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's my toxic white people song.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay.
Okay, so last thing, we will let you go. Important diabetes news. I'm about to do something that I've not done in almost 15 years.
Do I know this news?
You might. This could be a big reveal for you.
Okay, tell me. I guess so. What's the tea? Spill it.
So I've had diabetes for 17 years. 15 years ago, I got on an insulin pump. This month, I'm going to be taking an insulin pump.
You haven't taken a pump in 15 years? I feel like you're lying.
I did 30 days on.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I watched that before I knew who you were. I was like, this white man is out here buying shit from Walmart. Man is fighting for his life.
Oh, it was terrible. If there's one thing you can learn from the 30 over-the-counter 2-week talk, don't do it. That was basically the only time that I've been off of the pump. And So I'm going on Guardian Connect, the CGM, that goes to your phone.
Okay.
I'm starting on the InPen in a couple of weeks. So
Is there a date for that? Or are you gonna tell us?
I actually was gonna do it already, but I just had a bunch of like travel and stuff coming up, so I didn't want to change it before I did that. So
I'm gonna pray for you. Cause I did MDI and fuck that. Sorry.
okay, my body needs a break, and I just
Real estate.
my sites. Yeah, real estate. I could use some time for my sites to heal, and then when the 780G finally gets approved by the FDA, then I'll go back on that.
I'm excited to hear about your journey. And in the meantime, if you guys want to read about a pump break, I just wrote an article about it for a diatribe, so go read it. Yeah, literally, it drops tomorrow morning. But yeah. What -1 reader liked. Rob, actually, you wrote an article with us. It goes out tomorrow too. Like about yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna tag you as a collaborator tomorrow. Please accept.
But yeah, no, it was good. Right? We talked about basketball and diabetes.
Yeah. I love how we're intersecting diatribe and diabetes, but all that to say, I can't wait to see your
So please do me a favor.
oh, why do we have to tell everyone? It's a secret. Why are you airing our family business in public? Damn. Anyway, so you are taking a break, and we'll have updates for people in our next episode, and lots of cool stuff is coming, and yeah.
Listening to this, and you're one of the people who emails me after you listen to the podcast. Email me your tips for taking a pump break.
Yeah. Keep it locked.